Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Here's your host, Morgan Colby and Rick Lemon.
What's going on, Fantasy Champs?
What's up?
I'm going to the ship, baby.
Oh, yeah, you are.
My name's Morgan
How's
Colby.
that
I got
feel?
Rick Lemon with me as always.
What's up? What's up?
I saw you 4 out of 8 is what you said?
Yep. I included Tough League, though.
I got shafted. Austin Eckler did what he needed to do in a league to get me essentially a win. But the other person had a Jelani Woods, tight end for the Colts, score 7 points. So I lost by 4.
And you lost.
I lost by 4.
Oh,
So
that's so sad.
anyway, I was 10-4 in that league. There's it's supposed to just walk to the championship, but anyway. So I am 2 out of 6.
That's not bad, though.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. Oh,
Especially if you win both.
right. But anyway, hopefully you made it to your fantasy championships. I'm assuming. Welcome back to Rick, by the way. Missed last week, but this is our final week of regular season content, and then we're on to 2023.
We're on to Cincinnati.
We're on Cincinnati. This time next week, you will be listening to a podcast where we talk about our biggest hits and our biggest misses from the season.
Year in
while
review.
Watching the miserable Week 18. Well, as Patriots fans, might not be that uninteresting.
Wow. Yeah, I won't even be able to watch the game next week, though, so
Why?
I have stuff I have to do, unfortunately.
See, that's unfortunate.
So,
Well,
yeah.
hopefully, it sounds like Tua is going to be out, so might be able to cap
Patriots
that,
might
though.
walk in the playoffs from the Dolphins
Injuries
missing their
and-
quarterback and the Bills resting their starters.
Yeah,
Although I still don't think that's going to happen because they're going to play for the 1 seed.
they might. I don't know. They can still. Pats can
It
still get
depends.
in.
If they lose this week,
They can still get in with a loss, somehow. But I read it online, and I don't know.
they can get in with 8 wins.
8 and 9.
That's so brutal.
Well, it's because everyone started losing at the bottom of the AFC. AFC's bad, but it's funny because then you look at the NFC and it's not. It's just as worse. It's just as bad.
Yeah, it is.
You add a 7th
really
spot in the playoffs, and this is what happens, friends. But anyway, you're in your fantasy championships here to listen to us talk about fantasy football. So we're going to recap the week, and then we're going to get into some waiver wire ads that we would do for just this week. Obviously, with your seasons coming to a close, there really isn't any long plays. So this will be streamable options. In the home league, I made it to the championship. The guy I'm facing last week started Isaiah Hodgins, who was one of the many garbage wide receivers for the New York Giants. Got 22 fantasy points out of it. So talk
love
about
those week 16.
Talk about
There's a
luck.
lot of players like that.
Yeah, there really was.
There was a tight end who got like 3 touchdowns this week. Who I guess we'll talk about him, but
I don't know what it is about the fantasy playoffs. Like, I feel like everything is just normal.
Just all goes away.
For weeks, and then it just gets like everything just
becomes a
gets wild.
crapshoot.
Random guys
Yep.
start going off. It's the fantasy playoffs. So this week I expect to be even worse. I don't know who's gonna go off, but we'll try to give you some guys that you can add at the end of the show. It'll be relatively quick, and then we are gonna on the recap show, I guess we'll mention some guys that have been playing at a league-winning pace. So we'll talk about that. But anyway, before we do, check our website, fantasychampions.com. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any other podcasting platforms, please leave a review. Share this podcast with your friends. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe. Click the bell for noties. Like and comment down below any questions you may have for us. Without further ado, let's jump into some week, what is it, 16 finishes.
Something like that.
Talk about some guys that my computer is freaking god-awful slow today, so bear with me as I pull those numbers up.
I think it is week right?
16.
16.
16. So we'll go through each position like we normally do and quickly run through some of this information. But let's start with the quarterbacks. Number one quarterback, Dak Prescott, 28.98 fantasy points. I am actually curious where Dak finished on the season because or where he is currently on the season.
He's QB 19 right now.
Yeah, that's bad.
Well, it's actually not
QB
that
19?
bad because he missed
Oh, okay. Yeah,
the first
he missed
like
5 weeks.
6
I forgot
games.
about that. Oh my god, that feels like eons ago. Was it a hand injury? I can't remember.
Yeah, he broke his finger on opening night or whatever.
Oh, so
his numbers though aren't like
they're not
great though.
But
he's putting up decent fantasy numbers though because a lot of volume.
Yeah. I just haven't seen his name a lot, so I was wondering what the crap's going on with Dak Prescott. But anyway, he finishes QB1. I'm not sure, because I really don't. I don't have him in a league that's in the playoffs. You know, I have him in a dynasty league that I won last year, but got friggin' slammed with 12 different injuries, so I didn't make the playoffs. And I stopped paying attention 3 weeks ago to that league, going for a pick. But Dak Prescott is on that team, and I don't have him anywhere else. And I would imagine that people who had him aren't in the fantasy playoffs because of these injuries.
He's actually been doing good in the fantasy playoffs, but leading up to that, was not.
Right now, Sleeper has him ranked projection-wise at QB7 for this week.
He does have a good matchup. I think he's playing the Titans.
Yeah, so Dallas. I also found out, I guess, Dallas is 7-1 on the year against teams with winning records.
Are they?
They are.
Interesting.
Maybe the real deal. This
the Dak was.
The Eagles and the Cowboys. I think the two most hated NFC franchises ever.
I know.
But anyway, so Dak finishes as QB1. Jared Goff comes in at QB2. I don't even know if his game was a good streaming option, but he performs well. They still lose. They could have really put this away and put themselves in a position.
I think he scored 20 of the 25 in the fourth quarter. It was pure trash time points.
Yeah. It was a good matchup though. He's extremely.
It was a good matchup. Yeah.
Joe Burrow, 25 fantasy points. He does well. Josh Allen does 24. Gardner Minshew, man. I was talking. You probably didn't listen to the Starts and Sit show. I told people to start Devonta Smith. And I figured that there would be a little bit of hesitation because, you don't have Jalen Hurts, Gardner Minshew's in there, and people would be like, oh, well, I don't want to start. It's too good of a matchup. And I said, you know what? Minshew has a track record of replacing quarterbacks and the first game just going off.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. And we'll talk about Devonta Smith's game, but it was pretty big. Gardner Minshew also putting up a good fantasy performance. To all of you that started him in some way, shape, or form this week, congratulations, because I was not thinking about doing that.
Yeah, I did see a lot of people going into the week that wanted to start him. So
that's wild.
If you did, congrats, I guess.
Kirk Cousins with 24, Patty Mahomes with 23, Sam Darnold.
Hey, I brought him up on the waiver wire show last week.
You did. I was gonna roast you. I did roast you for that, but I guess it worked out. Interestingly enough, for Sam Darnold, since he has been starting, he actually hasn't been terrible.
No, he doesn't have an interception yet this year, which is interesting.
He's only played 4 games, but
yeah, only 4 games, true. But hey, for Sam Darnold,
yeah, that's fair.
Nice streak.
Darnold with 2021. Rick did say that. If you started him and you had the stones to do that, congratulations. Danny Dimes had 21.76, so he continues to provide some good fantasy low end QB1 fantasy numbers. T-Law 18. Mac Jones. I saw him in my rankings and I said, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna rank Mac Jones 5 spots higher than I normally do.
What?
No reason whatsoever why I did that.
I did that the last 2 weeks against Arizona and the Raiders because those were fantastic matchups, and he sucked both games. So I was like, there's no, he's not going to do good against good defenses, or if he's not going to do good against bad defenses, why would he do good against good defenses? But, what do I know?
Hey, and he had 17. If you started him, well, I want to start percentages here. And then Baker Mayfield comes in for the Rams. They freaking torched.
I know.
They set a blaze.
Dude, the Rams with Baker is like almost a different team, huh?
I was thinking because last week Baker wasn't good. It was okay, but he only threw like 170 passing yards and didn't throw a touchdown. It didn't look good. But I will say, as he starts to figure things out with the Rams offense, it kind of becomes more interesting. How old is Matt Stafford? 37?
I want to say he's like 34. No,
he's younger than that.
34. Yep.
So if you're the Rams and you can get kind of the same production out of Baker, and he's like 7 years younger.
Yep.
Do you go with Baker?
Yeah, you think about it. You would think about it. I don't know what they're gonna do though, because Stafford, there was even rumors that he would consider retiring a little early, but he denied those rumors and said he plans on playing next year. So
yeah,
who knows?
I mean, when he was playing, the stupid part about the Rams is that they collapsed with injuries midway through the season.
Yeah.
But they sucked when they had all their guys.
They did.
Like, they weren't good when they had all their guys. So
I mean, they were like, I want to say they were like 3-4. So, I mean, they weren't good, but it wasn't worst team in the league bad. But ever since Baker, they're 2-1 with Baker. So they're up to like 6 wins now, I think.
Yeah. It's wild.
They're not. I also think mathematically they're not eliminated from the playoffs yet either in the NFC.
Now?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the NFC West, but it's for the last wild card spot. It's like one of those things where they are out of the playoffs. They have like a 2% chance, but mathematically,
they still got it.
Yeah, they still got it.
What would that be? 7 and 10?
I think they can get 8 wins. I think they're at 6 right now.
I thought they had 10 losses already.
They are. Oh yeah, they're 5 and 10. So that would be 7 wins. I don't know how that's possible.
Wild.
Well, the Commanders are at 7 wins. The Lions are at 7 wins. Packers. Those teams would all have to lose out, I think, and the Seahawks.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that's. It's literally impossible, but it's possible.
All right, let's talk about some guys that busted out. If you started Brady, you only got 13. If you continually believe that Deshaun Watson is the answer at QB this is actually good for next year. I like these late round QBs. I like snagging one late, and I actually think Watson will be okay next year. This year, it would have been better for him to get suspended the whole year and for him to have an off season where he could figure things out because whatever's going on right now just doesn't work. And the Browns at this point probably had a better shot with Jacoby Brissett winning football games than Deshaun Watson.
I don't think they were going anywhere with either guy, though, to be honest.
That's fair. But Deshaun Watson, he had 12. If you were in on starting him, that wasn't very good. Russell Wilson still sucks. But I think the bust of the week at this point, the two busts of the week are Justin Fields and Justin Herbert. Fields ending with 9.8. Justin Herbert ending with 6. The wild thing about Justin Fields' performance on the week, he had 8 points on the first drive. And the rest of the game, he was just horrible. I still won in the home league with him as my starting quarterback. So,
you know what it is, though? It's like Fields didn't even, passing-wise, like, he wasn't good.
Yeah.
But he wasn't really bad. It was just what he's been. He just didn't rush this game. He only had 11 rushing yards.
Right. Well, and that's what I was watching this game, and I'm like, I was kind of confused because all season they've been running a similar to what Baltimore does with Lamar Jackson, where they're running the ball.
Yeah.
And they just they didn't do that at all. Like, there was no designed runs. There was nothing for Justin Fields. It was like early season Justin Fields, which kind of scares me. I don't really know why they went back to that, but the way they win football games is with him running around. So,
or at least almost win football games.
Yeah. And then Justin Herbert. I mean, the Chargers clinched a playoff spot. Finally, we get to see Herbert in the playoffs. Big fat issue here. Herbert sucked in the game.
Well, it's another one of. He went 24 of 31 with 235 yards.
Yeah, I mean
they went to the goal line twice.
That's mid in real life.
Yeah, I mean that's what 70% completion percentage.
You're getting screwed.
Right.
I mean that you probably lost your week because of that.
Right. Well, but I don't think it's like, and I said this last week too. I don't know how much is going to change because they don't throw the ball in the red zone.
Yeah.
They throw the ball. They don't run the ball between the 20s, and then inside the 20s, all they do is run the ball. Yeah. And that's even when he throws it, like they throw it down the field sometimes, and it works, which is sad that they don't do it more because they don't. Their offense coordinator, to me, Matt Patricia, worst in the NFL. He's second. Joe Lombardi's the second worst offense coordinator in the NFL.
Yeah, and he was supposed to be really good.
And he was, and he's not. They're their offense is so conservative. But yeah, it doesn't help when I think the Chargers. I'm gonna look this up, but I'm pretty sure they're in the top in the NFL in rushing touchdowns. I know Eckler had 2 yesterday. He's at 11 on the season. Josh Kelly has a couple. And then they also kick a lot of field goals. So usually when your team gets a lot of rushing touchdowns and they kick a lot of field goals, it's usually not good for your quarterback because he's not getting a lot of touchdowns.
Yeah. Any other quarterbacks you want to talk about?
No, I think that's it for quarterbacks.
Okay, let's move to running back. The running back position. Oh, I don't know if you want to call this a league winner because I don't know how many people got to the championship with Cam Akers on their squad. I'm assuming there's some, but Cam Akers in PPR dropped 34 fantasy points. I don't know if it was efficient. I haven't looked at the numbers. I'm looking right now, but
5 yards carry.
Cam Akers is starting to make us buy in for next year again.
No. I will never. I refuse.
Rick's 1,000% out. This is one of those stretches of games, right? He had 13 last week, 34 this week. If he has another couple really good games in the last 2 weeks of the season, people are going to look back at these last 4 games and be like, all right, Cam Akers is back. He looks good. He feels good. Everything's going well. 19, 9, 13, and 34 in the last 4 weeks. I would love to know where that ranks. In fact, I'll pull it up right now. So going back to week 13 to 16, Cam Akers is RB5. RB5 in the last 4 weeks. You're gonna see these conversations. Rick's pre December 27th, 2022. He is already setting himself up for saying that Cam Akers is gonna be a bust.
I just don't want to buy into him again. Yeah. After what he's all year, he's sucked, and then he has some good matchups, and they give him the ball. And I think it's really what it is too is, they're giving him the full workload. 1 and 2, their offense is significantly better with Baker than it was with John Wolfhard or whatever.
Yeah, Wolfhard. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's their whole offense is significantly better. But I don't know. We'll see what his price is in the offseason.
Right. Congratulations if you got him. If he does have another big week in week 17, this is a league winner. This would be classified as a league winner in a lot of ways. So if you won a championship with Cam Akers, which I still don't like, he busted early in the season. He was bad. And it wasn't until week 13 when he started coming on. So it's like, did you where did he go? 4th round?
I think so.
Yeah, he 4th round. So it's wild. Like if you drafted Cam Akers, you probably make the playoffs. If you had him in a dynasty league, it's a whole other conversation.
I'll tell you, I mean, how many teams actually have him that are in the playoffs?
Right. No idea.
I feel like it's probably 5%.
Right. But anyway, good on Cam Akers. Saquon Barkley is just a freaking beast. Finally, I had him. I've had him since week 6 or 7, and I really haven't had a massive breakout run.
He's been kind of he's been good all year, but he hasn't been great until the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, he's heating up.
I feel like.
So Barkley's good. Leonard Fournette gets 25, so they're starting to feed him the rock a little bit more. Bucks still suck, but Fournette's getting the ball, so that's
there goes the Rachaad White hype.
Yeah, he went straight back into the turd can when Fournette came back out. James Conner had 25. I play James Conner this week. I really hope that he's not good, and this take is not necessarily
Dude, ever since he's
related
come
to me
back
in
from
the
injury, he's
championship. But
been ridiculous.
yeah, to be honest with you, it's the fact that they have to freaking start Trace McSorley. So
Yep. So he's getting like 20 carries a game.
yeah, and like
And he's
400
getting all the
targets.
check downs.
Yeah, every single check down that McSorley, like when you get a quarterback like that, whether it's, Brett Ripon from Denver or Mac Jones' backup, Bailey Zappi, or this guy, Trace McSorley,
Mac Jones.
you simplify the fair enough. You simplify the offense a little bit for that guy not to screw up, and I think that's what's happening here. But they start dumping it off to James Conner, and that works. Now you have to score touchdowns on top of that too, so they're moving the ball, I guess. Austin Eckler had 23.9, so good game for him. The ridiculous situation over in Carolina where Donta Foreman had 22 fantasy points, and they had 320 rushing yards or something like that in the game.
Yeah.
That those are passing numbers, not rushing numbers. So that's crazy. Devin Singletary.
Another. He's been so up and down. When he's up, he's been he's been very good.
Yeah.
But he only has one target in his last 4 games.
Yeah, he's a touchdown guy. Like if he scores touchdowns, he's got it. Devin Singletary had 20 fantasy points. Alvin Kamara had 19. So Alvin Kamara kind of coming back. Derrick Henry had 18. Henry's been on a torrid pace as he always is in the playoffs. And then you have James Cook with 17. So Buffalo using these running backs this week.
Yeah, this was bad weather game though, wasn't it?
Yeah, I believe so. And then Joey Mixon had 17, and Tyler Algier, who has started scoring some fantasy points lately, had 15. Some busts that we have for you guys that scored 8 or less fantasy points. They expected to do a little bit better. Miles Sanders has been terrible lately. Six fantasy points. The week before he had 1, I believe, coming off that 30-point performance. So I don't you would imagine for Philly, they had to keep pace with Dallas, so it wasn't fully unexpected that they weren't going to run the ball a lot. But I thought maybe with
Minshew they would. He had 21 carries, just 3 yards.
The game got out of hand. They were playing Dallas. They scored 42 points. Or whatever it was. So it's like Philly had to play catch up, and when they had to play catch up, it just kind of hit the running game. But what I don't understand is why the Eagles continue to Miles Sanders is known for his pass catching abilities. And they like to put guys like Kenneth Gainwell and Boston Scott and other friggin' idiots in the game to pass catch. And I'm like, there's no reason for this. Just freaking put your pass catching running back on the field.
Yeah.
Simple. So Miles Sanders sucked though. 6.1 fantasy points. Josh Jacobs gets 6. So you rode him to the playoffs and you rode him to the consolation.
The second round exit. Yeah.
But he didn't even do good last week either. It was like 10, 11, 12 points.
That's true. He might have lost last week.
He might have lost because he didn't go off like he normally did. Jacobs carried a lot of fraudulent teams throughout the entire season. Teams that weren't scoring a lot of fantasy points, but he got 30, so he saved them.
Yeah, I mean, even with this bad week and arguably back-to-back kind of weeks, he's the RB3 on the season.
Yeah, insane. I would. You obviously still got to roll with Jacobs next week, but if you made it this far with him sucking, but
yeah.
J.K. Dobbins had 5 if you started him. Aaron Jones had 5. Lots of busts this week. I told you to sit Antonio Gibson. He had 5 points. 5 points. I feel like I do that every week at this point. It's low-hanging fruit. DeAndre Swift had 3. Jamal Williams had 3. Detroit fell behind really early and just
abandoned the run.
Abandoned the run. I don't know if you're in the playoffs or in a championship with DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams, but good luck.
I am fantasy champs, bro.
Do you have to make the decision?
I could just play Joe Mixon my RB2, which I might do. We'll see.
That's or Dobbins. Smart. Any other guys for running backs you want to discuss?
No, I think that's it.
Okay, let's talk about wide receivers and quickly do tight ends, and we'll roll get you guys some information for this week for waiver wires, and then send you on your merry way. Our Wednesday show is going to be released on Thursday, by the way. Programming note. So we are going to do Thursday night preview on Thursday night. or on Thursday at some point that'll come out. And then Friday, we'll have the Starts and Sits show live, ready to go. And then next week, going back to 2 episodes a week, Rick.
Yep.
You know, it's kind of sad the season's ending, but it's nice to go back to 2 episodes a week. My brain gets melted during the season.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Anyway, let's talk about wide receiver. CeeDee Lamb dropping 34 fantasy points. Lamb has been good this year. Finally, there was a lot of people like every time like CeeDee Lamb would have a decent couple of games and he'd show what he could be, he would get hurt. And then he would come back, and then he wouldn't be the same guy, and he'd get 6-7 points, and every week he would be ranked as a top 10 wide receiver, but not produce as that. So everyone this year got fed up, and we're like, CeeDee Lamb's not legit. He's not very good.
And then the first game of the season, he was bad.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just fantasy-wise. He had 11 targets, 2 catches, and he had 4 drops.
But on the season,
he bounced back, though.
Number 6 at the wide receiver position.
Which is kind of where he was ranked.
Yeah.
Right? Isn't that where he was ranked?
Love CeeDee Lamb. But he scored 34. He had 19 in week 15, 34 against Philly, and he has Tennessee this week. So if you have CeeDee Lamb in a league, you're rolling this guy to a chip if he performs like he did this past week. Love CeeDee Lamb. Don't doubt. I will say having a Dallas player is a pain in the butt. You got Zeke and Pollard fighting for snaps.
Uh-huh.
You got Dak Prescott, who loves to throw to the 5th-string wide receiver regularly. Freaking Noah Brown. Who the hell is that? Who are you? Where did you come from? Where were you drafted? What school did you go to?
Ferguson instead of Schultz at tight end.
It's annoying. It frankly is annoying. But CeeDee Lamb's been getting targeted, so that's good.
And Dak has 12 interceptions in 10 games this year, so that's always good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That sounds like me and Madden.
I know.
31 for Justin Jefferson. So, I mean, you drafted him to do this, to, give you these fantasy points to win, right?
He has 1,700 receiving yards with 2 games left, 2 games left in the season.
He broke Randy Moss's record, single season record for Minnesota.
Yep.
In Minnesota's hierarchy of wide receiver finishes.
He might get 200 targets.
Yeah, that's absurd.
We're close to it.
They don't have anyone else to throw the ball.
That typically, bro.
That typically doesn't end up working out, as we saw from Cooper Kupp. At some point, Justin Jefferson
in back-to-back seasons,
you can't keep feeding the guy; they're gonna get hurt. It's easy money.
Yeah.
Devonta Smith with 31. T. Higgins had 26. He's freaking got all his fantasy points in 2 drives and then kind of went to bed.
Yep.
Jalen Waddle with 25. Kendrick Bourne surprising with 24 fantasy points. I think I had him ranked 70. So there you go.
Yeah. He hadn't had more than 9 points in a game all season. So.
I know. It's freaking crazy. Isaiah Hodgins, Greg Dortch.
Yeah.
Among the weirdo finishes this week.
The guys that will kick you out of the playoffs.
So Bourne, Hodgins, and Dortch. Thanks, guys.
Yep, thanks.
Literally the epitome. There's 70 fantasy points right there that helps 0 people. Except for the guy that I'm playing in the chip, who started Isaiah Hodgins.
Yeah. Wait, does he actually have him?
Yeah, he has Hodgins on his roster. He started him last week.
And he's playing him?
I don't know if he's playing him this week. We'll find out. I have a note for Sleeper, by the way. I don't know if anyone in Sleeper is really listening right now, so maybe I'll tweet this at them. You guys really need to figure out your situation with when you win a fantasy matchup in Sleeper, it doesn't advance until Wednesday. So I can't look at the head-to-head matchup at all until Wednesday.
Oh, yeah, I don't like that
That's
either.
so annoying. I won. On Monday night when it ended, I won. We don't need to sit there and stare at the last week matchup. I can go back in time and look at that. Just advance it to the next week. Call it a day.
It should be like that, yeah. Tuesday morning, Monday night.
That was my rage. Keenan Allen had 21. Jacoby Myers had 20.
Keenan Allen, by the way, since week 11 is the wide receiver 6 in fantasy.
Oh, there you go, Keenan. There you go, buddy. He got targeted out the wazoo in that game. For a guy that scores 21 fantasy points, his quarterback puts up 6. He must have had 10 catches.
Well, he had 11 catches for 100 yards, and then he should have scored a touchdown, but he's an old man and he fell out of bounds. but there was like no one near him.
That's crazy.
He couldn't keep his balance.
DJ Moore, the one time I play him, gets 20.
There you go.
Jaha Dotson finishes with 19. Some other randos, too. Trent Irwin for Cincinnati scored 19 points after Tyler Boyd went down. Richie James for the Giants.
I'm just saying,
17.
real quick.
Go ahead.
Jahan Dotson.
Yeah,
since you was hating on him, 16, 20, and 19 last 3 games.
Shush.
Okay, continue.
Some busts. If you started Marquise Hollywood Brown, he got 8 points. I don't know why you would continue digging yourself into that hole when you know that team's not going to be good. But either way, Michael Pittman, 7 points, disappointing. Kadarius Toney caught a touchdown. Not a good fantasy performance, but he got a touchdown.
1 catch, 8 yards.
Mike Evans been trash for whatever reason. 6 points. Juju Smith-Schuster had 5.7. Garrett Wilson with 5.
And that was a good matchup too for Juju. That was
I don't know.
I don't understand.
This is why I have Juju, and this is why I don't want to start him, and I don't really have a desire to start any Chiefs wide receivers because it really is random on a week-to-week basis. Like sometimes it's Juju, sometimes it's Hardman, sometimes it's freaking Toney. I don't know who it's gonna be, but the only constant is even the running backs. I just don't know at this point. I mean, McKinnon had 12 points, but like, who's going to get it at the running back position? Who's going to get it? The only constant is Travis Kelce. Garrett Wilson had 5 points with Zach Wilson starting. Zach got benched, and he's benched for the rest of eternity. I heard reports this Sunday that he is. They are moving on. This
he's done in New York.
Which is wild. Stefan Diggs busting out. Like, you absolutely get freaking crapped on if you had Stefan Diggs.
Dude, it's crazy. So we'll talk about the other guy after, but Diggs and another wide receiver was the wide receiver 1 and 2 going into the fantasy playoffs.
Yep.
And both these guys have done nothing in the playoffs and probably losing everybody their fantasy championships.
Yeah, it's Devontae Adams.
But they got them there.
Yeah, Devontae Adams.
Josh Jacobs thing.
Kills you. It kills you. See, the problem is you need your superstars.
This is the problem with fantasy football, though. Is like you can have Diggs and Adams as your wide receiver duo, and you literally would have went undefeated. With Jacobs is like your RB2,
and then you would have went to the playoffs and lost because they both got 3 points first round.
Yep,
that sucks. The only guy that I see here is DeAndre Hopkins, who had 1.4 fantasy points. That is kind of expected. With Trace McSorley out there, I honestly would have said like for Hopkins and for Brown, like I think I said sit Brown this week, but both of them should have been sits, and they should be sits for the rest of the season, just because. Like, what do you anticipate Trace McSorley doing? Throwing it to DeAndre Hopkins 25 times?
They are playing Atlanta.
That's fair. Ugh, I hate that. I hate it.
A screen pass could go for 70 yards.
Fair enough. Tight end position, really quickly. 2 weeks in a row. TJ Hawkinson is carrying my fantasy
there you go,
teams.
Bro.
I love you, Hawk. I need to write a love letter to Hawk and recite it on this.
So he has 2 games this year where he's gotten 35 plus.
Yeah.
And then his other but he hasn't had more than like 16 outside of that.
Since getting traded to Minnesota, though, he does get a consistent, steady stream of targets, which is good.
He does.
But this week he had 16. So, I mean, that's crazy. But if you have TJ Hawkinson, Rick's like, he only gets 8 points, of a 30-point game, and then he gets 8 points. And I'm like, 8 to 11 is not bad.
No, it's not.
You just got to ride it out. That's average.
Man.
Gets the
I have him in a dynasty league that
you traded him away.
I'm not in the playoffs.
Oh,
and then I had him in another dynasty league where I traded him in a deal that got me Tom Brady and Mark Andrews, thinking I would go all in, and both guys sucked, and TJ Hawkinson went off. So might have lost a fantasy championship because I traded away TJ Hawkinson.
I will say Hawk saved me, at least this week, because I got 10 points from Justin Fields, and that almost murdered me.
Hey, that's how you win, though.
Right? Tyler Higbeast, 30 fantasy points this week. All Baker did was throw him the ball. And then George Kittle, man, the last 2 weeks, I think he had 25 last week, 30 this week.
Yep.
He's just been monstrous in the playoffs.
Yep.
I'm going to skip over some of these names, like Shane Zylstra from Detroit.
There was some guy who tweeted that whoever his tight end was injured, and he picked this guy up and put him in, and he lost because the other guy played him. Can you imagine losing your fantasy championship by like 1 point, and that's the reason why?
That's wild. That's crazy. Evan Ingram, 18 points. Travis Kelce had 17. Greg Dulcich with 13. Pat Freiermuth with 13. So Muth is back. Dawson Knox with 12. Taysom Hill had 11. Mercedes Lewis in the game against the Dolphins.
What year is this?
I know, that's what I was saying. Like I
2010?
watched the game and there was like multiple targets to Lewis, and I'm like, okay, did Aaron Rodgers wake up today and be like, hey, Mercedes, I'm gonna throw you the ball the entire game? He's
literally 38 years old. He's his 16th NFL season.
It's absurd. I was like watching it. I'm like, Mercedes Lewis? What? And then Darren Waller had 9. Some busts on the week. I don't think there's many.
Mark Andrews. I don't know if he counts.
What do you
as
expect?
One.
It's.
I know, but still.
Like, if it was Lamar, then I would be like, "What's going on with Mark Andrews?" But it's not Lamar.
Since week 7, he was not injured in this game. He had 0 fantasy points.
Yep.
Then he did get injured in this game, so he had 6 fantasy points in the first quarter. That was actually impressive. Then he missed the next week, bye week. Then it's 12, 11, 9, 3, 6, 7 points.
Yeah, it's bad.
Really, really, really bad for people who thought he was Travis Kelce. And he played like Kelce in the beginning of the season, but my gosh, he fell from that.
David Njoku had 3 points. Dalton Schultz had 7, so he kind of busted a little bit. But I don't see anyone else on this list that I was like, unless you started.
Maybe Juwan Johnson.
Yeah, 1 point.
He's been up and down all year.
He's been up and down.
Yeah.
He'll have like a big game and then he'll suck.
Right.
All right. Any other guys you want to talk about from this week?
No, I think that's it.
Okay. So quickly, we'll transition and get you out of here real quick. I think this is the last, by the way. Obviously, I've said this before, but this is the last time we're going to recap the weeks, and give you waiver wires. So this is the last super long pod that you're going to have to listen to from us for a long while, unless it's a mock draft, which will happen in a month.
It's true.
But anyway, all right, Rick. For waiver wire rankings or waiver wire pickups this week, we're just going to give you a guy that you can pick up and play this week if you're in the fantasy championship and you have an injury or you have a situation where you don't. Believe it or not, there are people out there without flexes who need to start, and Isaiah Hodgins happened to be one of them. But give me one guy that you're streaming at the quarterback position.
He's the number one guy on this list, and I think I would play him based on the matchup. It's Mike White. I don't love the player at all, but he's playing against Seattle, who has been atrocious the last couple of weeks against quarterbacks. It's a fantastic matchup. And when Mike White is out there, they're not really scared like they are with Zach Wilson. Like they give him like 40 pass attempts. Mm-hmm. So even if he sucks and throws like 3 interceptions, he's just going to, by pure volume and maybe even trash time, with that defense, he's going to get fantasy points. So I would say Mike White. There are a couple good options out there this week.
Yeah. I think Mike White definitely is the best option. I don't mind Brock Purdy.
I was looking at him as well.
He is
the Raiders.
Very interesting against the Raiders. Very good matchup. He's had 18 and 18. Since he had to come in and replace Jimmy Garoppolo, he's had 17, 23, 18, and 18 in fantasy. So those are good enough numbers, and it's an easy matchup where you can throw Purdy in and get him starting this week. So I think that would be it would be Mike White and then Brock Purdy underneath him. The other guy that I absolutely love is Gardner Minshew. If Jalen Hurts does not play.
Right.
If he does play, then obviously you have to jump off Gardner Minshew. And then in deeper leagues, like if you're in a super flex league, I don't mind Mac this week against Miami. He had
That's
17
not a bad
last
one.
week, but it's
I don't trust him though.
definitely not like it's last, like dead last on the list, because I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
want to like you're gonna get Mac Jones out there, and then he's gonna like every time we said Mac Jones good play,
Goes
and it's
13 for
not because
31 for
Rick hates
112
him.
yards.
Rick hates him. I'm a Mac
I think
Jones
hate
guy,
is a
but
strong word.
I
Okay, hate's a strong
literally
word.
I from the beginning I've said that I like Mac Jones in real life, but I don't like him in fantasy because he's just not like he's a pocket passing quarterback. Those guys don't
At
typically
my
have a whole ton of success.
yeah. Well, hey, at my grandfather's today, he had a shirt that said Massachusetts. So I gotta still support the guys, Gotta still support the guys.
Mac and
Even if,
cheeses. But we are not. I am, but not in fantasy, infatuated with Mac Jones. So it takes a lot for me to be like, me start him, but only in deeper leagues. Like, don't make dumb decisions. We don't need to be doing dumb decisions. People out here are gonna be
yeah.
like, Justin Fields or Brock
You
Purdy.
told me
Justin Fields.
You told me to stop Mac, so I put him in over Josh Allen.
He scores more points than Josh Allen.
Imagine.
I'll take that victory. I'll take that victory lap. At running back, plug and play Tyler Algier.
Yeah,
I'd grab him. He's
it's a
been
good one.
he's been starting to put together a few good weeks, and he's starting to look like a good running back for them. And he's playing Arizona, so I definitely would pull him, throw him in my starting lineup for this week. Who you got though at running back?
I would say he's the best option, but I would also consider Chuba. And I said that last week too.
Tubes.
He's starting to get a little bit more work. The only problem is this week he had no passing game work, which I was surprised with. But the last couple of weeks he has had 3 catches.
Yeah.
So Foreman gets no passing game work. Chuba does. So as a deep option, I don't mind that. He is playing Tampa this week though, so it's not a great matchup. Then maybe Zach Moss, but he's playing the Giants, and that Colts offense, dude. I don't know if you watched Monday Night Football. Nick Foles had 2 interceptions in the first quarter, and he got sacked like 10 times in the game.
Wow,
it was brutal. It's like Broncos level bad.
I don't think what's his name sticking around all that long.
Jeff Saturday. No.
Yeah, Jeff Saturday. All right, let's talk about some wide receivers you can plug and play. Dotson, obviously. I mean, that's an easy one, so we'll bypass that. If you have any waiver budget left and you're in the championship and you need to start Jahan Dotson immediately.
Bro, even though I've been going off, kind of teasing you with Jahan Dotson,
yeah.
I actually wouldn't trust that because the Commanders are just like. Like one week they'll throw the ball 10 times to McLaurin, and then the next they'll throw it to Dotson and Samuel.
If you don't have a flex, and
he would be top choice though for sure.
I don't see any other guys that I really like.
No, I was gonna say maybe Romeo Doubs, but he hasn't really 10 points since he came back from the injury. He has 10 points, and then this week he had 6 points.
Yeah.
But he did have 6 targets, so I mean, not awful.
Yeah. Okay. Any other wide receivers? We're losing you, Rick. You're glitching in and out there, buddy. We'll let him recover. I like what he has to say. If I could hear it. Are you good?
Dotson is.
Can you hear me? The wonders of doing these calls over Zoom. When Rick reconnects, we will get back to him. But yeah, I don't really see any guys that I like going into this week for matchups. Like, I mean, the Giants don't have a wide receiver, but it's just randomized as to who is who. Are you there? You good?
Yeah.
All right, you just glitched right out.
I could hear you the whole time, but your camera froze.
Oh.
But I could still hear you perfectly normal. But apparently, I was
you're still
out of the
glitching
wilderness or something.
Before you finish glitching,
am I?
Yeah, you're good. You're good now.
Okay.
Kind of. Just don't move your laptop.
Okay.
What were you saying
about Romeo Doubs?
Yes.
I said that he had, since his injury, 10 points and 6 points, which isn't anything crazy.
Mhm.
But he did have 6 targets this week, and he's playing Minnesota, which is a very good matchup.
Yeah.
But that being said, I would still much rather Jahan Dotson. Like, he's still my first choice.
Okay. All right. And then the final position so we can get you out of here before you completely lose your internet reception. He is in a new location in case you didn't notice. Or not a new location, a different location. Home for the holidays, I guess.
Yeah.
Give me one tight end.
Oh, gosh. Tyler Conklin of the Jets.
Conk!
With Mike White
The
back.
OG Conk.
Force feeding the tight end. How about you?
I don't mind Noah Fant. He's actually been really good. Dulcich is owned in 51% of the league, so I don't know if he's going to be available for you. But in a more, I don't like Juwan Johnson. I think it's too random. Noah Fant this week.
It's way too random.
Noah Fant in Seattle. He's actually been consistently getting like 5 to 6 targets. It just depends on if those like targets are good targets or not. So I would go with him in the championship if you don't have a tight end. I don't mind Conk either. And if you can get Dulcich, I think he would be number 1 for me.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay. There we go. Week 17 waiver wire / week 16 recap in the books, the final one of the year. It's been a wild season. We got Thursday night preview. We got starts and sits when we end the week. And then you got your fantasy championships. We'll talk to you tomorrow, guys. See you later.
See you.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Champions Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and YouTube and follow us on Twitter @TheFFChamps.